Dr. Peterson, if I have the honor of you watching this video, I have a challenge for you. You spoke in one interview, I think it was with Joe Rogan. You were talking about how Michaela, as she was going on to the diet, minimizing her diet into the carnivore diet, she was sort of saying to you, Dad, why don't you try it? Try it for a month. And your response was, I'll try it. Of course I could do that. I could do anything for a month. So my challenge is for you to, for a month, and you may do this already, so I take the challenge back if you're already doing this, but I don't think you are doing this based on this video right here that I'm going to play for a second and talk about, maybe, if I don't just keep talking. My challenge for you is to 30 minutes every morning for a month meditate into what I'll call a no-thought state meditation. That would be my challenge, like the Eastern meditation, getting to the void, understanding how to get to that place of no thought. I would love to know your experience after 30 days of doing that every day, what it feels like for you, how it's shifted your state of being, what's your experience like with that? And the sort of piggyback on top of that challenge would be to begin taking what that experience is, that no thought experience, and expanding it into moment by moment practices throughout the day, through the little day-to-day stuff, the doing the dishes, the getting ready during the day, to being interviewed by reporters coming after you. Like, my challenge is to see if you would be willing to do that and report back. Because here's why, and I want to be very clear on my purpose with this video and why I would be talking about you in general, is because I feel intuitively led to be of service through making videos. That's something that's come in my mind. You got to make videos, talk about stuff. And every morning I ask, what can I say that can really be of service to the most people? And I feel that as you are gaining such incredible traction with such a powerful message of being responsible, of finding something meaningful to do with your lives, of stand up straight, to do it, like, don't be shitty, like, to add on to a supplement to that teaching, which I 100% support. It's my interest to add on this practice of daily identifying with and living with the deeper awareness, the more Zen meditation part, the integration of that into the teachings that you're presenting. I feel that the combination of that message with your message is going to assist to the next evolution of human consciousness. Because you talk about the end of suffering. All religions talk about suffering, and you talk about how much they talk about suffering, which is cool. And I feel that having meaningful trajectory, living a life that's meaningful, that means something to you, is one of the best ways to minimize the suffering in a person's life. You get up, at least sometimes it sucks, life sucks, but at least you have something meaningful that you're doing with your life, right? But that is, I believe, that note, if we sing that note with the note of a daily practice of identification with the awareness or the highest self or the deepest constant that's always there in our waking state, that can be the peace no matter what external, whatever thoughts are coming in our head or what's happening physically, that a practice of meditating and living in that state of being is the truest release from suffering. That I'm an experiential teacher and an experimental teacher. I try everything and see how it feels and observe and like, oh, this is working, this isn't working, this isn't, and I can say that my life with this practice and without this practice are so profoundly different that my challenge to you, Jordan, would be to try this, because I have a feeling, because you are a truth seeker and an authentic human being in this world, that I don't believe that you argue with people to just to try to sound smart or to mentally masturbate in front of, in a debate. I know that's not what you do. I know that you are a purposeful communicator. and you have clear, you want to help people. You want to help us not recreate the horrors and the tragedies that have happened to us in the past by helping us know how to turn the ship in the right direction. Like, you are a truth seeker, and I get that. And that's why I'm throwing this challenge out to you, is that I feel this experience of moment by moment identification as awareness is the most powerful state of being shifter that I've ever experienced in my life, for sure. And I know I'm not alone, and there are a lot of people that get lumped up into the mindfulness community as too woo-woo, that are working to find the right language, the right words, the right signposts to point to these experiences of peace, of blissful love. Like, this deep meditation, no thought stuff leads to like almost orgasmic love feelings of like, I just love everything. Like, and just think, you have the message of, it's about the individual. It's focusing on the individual. We fix the society by the individual learning to live better. Imagine if all of us were able to have a practice every day that we went deep into this awareness, this identification with stillness, and we were able to allow our thoughts to come. We were able to take the thoughts and guide them toward thoughts that are that we can focus, that are loving thoughts. We can be very clear on where we shoot that bubble stream, like a bubble machine stream of thoughts, the way the thoughts come in the mind. So we can aim that. We actually have the ability to do that. And we also have the ability to take the bubble machine and stop it. No, I want to go to I have to go to the mall first because I have to, but wait, I forgot. We can actually walk around and live large moments of our lives inside of a window of no thought. And inside that window of no thought, all there is experience, like a baby who doesn't have the voice in the head yet, that is in that, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but a theta wave state of brain activity that's literally imprinting everything because it's so receptive and open. So much of our CPU gets caught up in that voice in our head and the pontificating and the thinking. It's like when we take that energy, we take that focus away from that part of the brain, or away from that part of the human experience, into the identification with the awareness itself and hanging out there. That's when shit gets crazy, in my experience. It's the same as the depth of like psilocybin cubensis experience, which has been a big experiment of mine, of the being there. Is that a state that's reachable without the mushrooms? And I'm telling you it is. Everybody, it is. There's a way in. And here's how I do it very specifically. And then maybe we'll watch some of the video. But I just want to say, if anyone is helped by this, then, God, I've done my job, So here's the idea. If you're sitting right now where you're watching this or listening to me, and if you got this far, that's awesome. That makes me happy. Take your hand. We're going to do a no thought. I'm going to just talk about a meditation practice that you can do for 30 minutes every day to experiment with this no thought stuff, okay? Because a lot of times in meditating that, people do it to be peaceful. They do it to try to make more money. But that's not the real, for me, the thing. For me, it's tapping into the highest intuitive guidance. And it's having these blissful, like, physical surges of love, juju, woo-woo, like shit happens when you do this. Like, I'm just saying, do the experiment and see, okay? So here's what we do. Here's how I like to do it. Just sit with your hand on, if you're sitting, just open your hand like this and put it on your leg. You can't see my legs, but just put your hand there. And just hold it still and ask yourself, how could I tell that my hand is still there if I don't move it? Like, try to feel your hand without moving it. And if you notice, you can feel this, like, almost feels like a buzziness or a vibration or a tingliness or a warmth or a something. Like, whatever word you think of that feels like, call it that. It's an awareness. Like you're taking the awareness that is you, and you're putting it in your hand, and you're holding it there. And just do that for a second right now while you're listening to my voice. Can you feel it? It almost feels maybe warm a little bit. I'm aware of a warmth. That feeling is one of the keys to getting into the no thought place. What you do is when you do that, you're taking your awareness, which most of the time is in the voice in your head, or whatever you're watching on TV or whatever you're listening to. It's like there's well, if you're watching it on TV, usually there's the TV going, and then there's also the voice going in the head as well, observing what the TV is doing. So when we're sitting, the idea of doing this meditation is to take your attention away from that unconscious chatter and to bring it out. And by taking that awareness out of the stream of thinking, you're able to manipulate it, okay? And so when you put your awareness in your hand, when you just hang out there and put all your concentration on, I'm going to just hold my awareness in my hand. You go deep into, like, you just think about it deepening, whatever that feeling is, like that feeling gets deeper the more you concentrate on it. Try it. Let's do it right now. Hold your awareness in your right hand, just concentrate deeper. Like imagine it's a light bulb on like a fader switch that's brightening and brightening and brightening and getting brighter. Just imagine right now you're doing that. I'm going to shut up. Can you feel it? Almost like a little bit of an expansive feeling almost when you really concentrate on it. You can do that with two hands. Do it right now. Try it with two hands. Put both of your hands on your lap. Now try to feel that warm, buzzy, tingly feeling in one hand and then in the other. And hold it there with both of them. Feel that? And I feel it. Now that feeling, you can do that all over your whole body. Imagine that. Imagine feeling that buzzy, tingly feeling you're feeling right now and turning it up like a light switch on a fader in your whole body. It's like... I think that this is when they talk about chi, the chi flow of energy, whatever that means. I'm an experiential learner and an experiential teacher and an experimental person. Like I just try stuff. I don't know. I don't believe in getting too caught up in the semantics of language in describing the experiences we have. I think we got to try every word to try to help people understand what it feels like. But I believe that is the chi. That's like what they were talking about when they talked about chi. It's like this energy inside your body that you can manipulate somehow. And holding your awareness on that. And I found that as I play with that feeling and I expand it, that it feels like there's this like, this like, whoa. It's almost that feeling when you're going up a roller coaster and you're like, oh my God, here we go. And it starts getting exciting. I start feeling this buzzy, tingly thing in my body. And I feel this little pressure right here in my forehead as I'm doing it. And so as I do that in the beginning of the day, then I also will add on this. And again, I'm trying to find words to describe this, so I'll try to talk about it a couple different ways. I combine that buzzy body feeling, because I'm hanging out there. I combine it with this like, it's like I feel like I'm aware of, I know it sounds crazy, but it's like I'm the awareness behind my head or my mind. I know. I'm like hanging out back here and I'm just observing, and my thoughts are coming in my mind. And usually for whatever reason for me, I feel like my thoughts come in to the right side of the, I know this sounds crazy, the awareness that is me. Like when I get into that open, close my eyes, I feel that open, expansive like feeling. It's like my thoughts feel like they're over here. I wonder if there's some reason for that. Probably. There probably is. But I combine that open head feeling with this body buzz feeling. And then I start feeling, sometimes I'll do it and I'll almost feel like my arms want to, like I want to raise my arms. It's like there's like, it's like this outward energy. It's like every cell's going, yeah, like, yeah. It's a crazy feeling. And it's like a giddy, like somebody tickling you and you're laughing type of feeling. Whoa, it feels like that. It's almost orgasmic kind of, but not, it's just like this, like I can't take anymore, it feels too good type of a thing. And And I experiment with, and so then I do that. And then after I've done that for a while, until I can't take it anymore, it's like it's just too much, woo, like buzzing feeling. Then I go into the no thought practice of, I look at my thoughts. Usually I ask myself what's bothering me, and I allow it to surface. I ask myself, is there anything I can learn from what's bothering me right now? And then after that I ask, okay, I'd like to be released from thinking about this. Is there anywhere to guide my thoughts next? And then I allow my thoughts to be guided somewhere else. And I do this kind of practice after I do that. And then after I've kind of let myself become aware of what's coming up inside of me internally, I then I start practicing clipping my thoughts, is what I call it. I don't know, I've never heard anyone talk about doing this, so that's what I call it. And I'll have a thought, I'll be like, okay, don't forget, you've got to email. Have you done laundry? You know, but don't. And I just do this little dance of no thought, no thought, and just opening space. Just opening space. There's a time where I allow all thoughts to come in, and then there's a time where I like to just turn off my brain, turn off the voice that's always commenting in my head, and just turn it off. There are some people that say you can't do that. Like I'm an experimental. I'm here to experiment. I'm here to learn in this human experience. I got so many years to play. I'm going to try to not think and see what that's like. And I'm telling you, it's possible, and it's beneficial. Because we learned how to identify with the peace that's always there no matter what's happening externally. You can be going through a breakup, you can be going through physical pain, you can be going through all sorts of things, and you can become aware of that awareness that's always there. And even though you're experiencing the pain and the things that are happening to you, you experience them without a story around it. You can experience them from a place of like a paradox. You know, paradox is where there are two things that are true at the same time. It's like you can be in pain and sad or afraid and also be at peace at the same time. It's weird, but it's true. Like, this is a practice. Try it, okay? So by doing this practice of this buzzy body thing, going into and bringing in the aspect of the no, I'm not going to think for a while, and just getting to that empty head place every day in the morning helps you later on throughout the day come back to that place. And then what happens is eventually, anytime that anything comes up emotionally, even slightly into an awareness that you become aware of it, you're able to be it's like instantly you wake up, you're like, whoa, I'm experiencing an emotion here. Look at that. It just becomes a tool that throughout the day, it cures you of reactiveness. I've been angry as fuck inside before, and been meditated and been peaceful and like, oh, I feel this emotion right now. I am not going to allow it out in this experience, because this is not, I want to learn from this experience. I want to learn from this emotional reaction so I can speak mindfully about it. If we all have the ability to become present to our emotions, allow them to come up, but be aware that we are not these emotions, that we can be the peace around them and not react out of them. If we all learn that skill, there won't be reactiveness anymore. That would be cool. So, all right. I want to listen to his video with you guys, and I'll stop and make some comments as we go. But that's the practice of identifying into the no thought place. One of the best gateways I find is going in through inner body awareness. There are other ways into, but this is the best and the most fun, feels the best. It's the buzzy kind of, wow, the spiritual orgasm type of feeling, right? You go in through the body, you become aware of the space in your head, combine that with the buzzy feeling, get really identified there, then allow the thoughts to come, witness your thoughts, clip the thoughts, and hang out in the space between the thoughts as much as you can, and that space will continue to increase. It's that practice. Do that 30 minutes a day. See how that changes your life, okay? Now let's see what he says about meditation.
On meditation, and if you practice it yourself. Well, that's a good question. I think I practice it a lot. And look, he's not practicing, I don't think, what I just talked about. Listen to someone, or even when I listen to myself, but let's say when I listen to someone in my clinical practice, I think I do it in a meditative way.
That's true.
In that I sit and listen and I wait for thoughts to appear rather than voluntarily thinking.
I've seen him do that, like in interviews. If you ever watch, he's very like, you can see him as like he's fully present. He's present to his thoughts. There's a look to you when you're in that state. He's present to his thoughts. He's present to your thoughts, and people, I think, get intimidated by his staring, but he's gone super zoomed into his awareness, right? So the goal is to live in that awareness more and more throughout the day. That's what I think. Display more.
So I clear my mind. I try to...
I'd love to hear what he said. I'd like to hear him expand more on clear my mind, what he means by that. Because that's a huge world to explain right there that I think is very important.
Keep my agendas off the table, my agendas, whatever they are, except that I want the best for my client in this hour, and the best, say, by their definition and mine, jointly decided, because that's all part of discussion. Mm-hmm. And then I listen very carefully, and I wait for the reactions that occur within me.
Yes, that self-awareness, that is the detachment from, that we can learn and practice. That's one of the deepening thing. We can deepen into that state of being by having a daily morning no thought meditation practice, in my opinion, in my experience.
And then I share them. And I think that's a meditative exercise. I think it's different than voluntary thinking. It's like, there's a statement in the New Testament that's...
He talks about voluntary thinking. I also feel there can be clarity made around the topic of voluntary thinking. And I have some ideas about this. This came to me as a way to really explain this, is the idea of voluntary thinking. My experience with it is there is inside of me this voice that always wants to be chattering, the chatterbox, the monkey mind, you could call it, the Buddhist. It's always going. And then I'm able to, and I call that the autopilot. It's like if I'm not aware and I haven't hopped into the pilot seat, it's like the voice will keep going, right? It's like the car will always be driving. I can hop in the driver's seat or hop out, but it's gonna keep driving. It's like and I call that the autopilot thinking. Then there's piloted thinking, where it would be like praying, like you say, I'm looking for guidance here. Intuition, help me. I'm looking for guidance. Like you're actually in the pilot seat in that moment. It's like you're speaking, but inside of your head without your mouth moving. Those are two different experiences that I have with my thinking. And there are benefits to using the piloted thinking in when you're done allowing something to come up, then you turn your mind to you can turn your mind to other things, and eventually the chatterbox voice will eventually come with the autopilot voice, which is always going. The la 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 voice will eventually follow the focus when you hop in the piloted seat and start thinking about something else. Like let's say you're thinking about something horrible and you just keep thinking about it. You're like, oh, I need to not think about this anymore. If you say, okay, I'm going to think about cotton candy, and you guide your mind to cotton candy, and you're like, I don't want to think the horrible thing of cotton candy. Your mind is still going to think the horrible thing, and you're thinking, nope, cotton candy. No, and if you just allow that the mind is going to keep doing that, shifting back to the thing that's bothering you, and you just keep focusing, cotton candy. Eventually, that voice realizes you don't care, the negativity realizes you're at peace with it being there, and that you're not going to focus on it, and eventually, it just gets tired of nagging you. So you can guide your focus, but it's not going to immediately make you stop thinking about the thing that's bothering you, but you can guide your focus. Okay?
As knock and the door will open, ask and you will receive. Now, that's a call to a meditative mode of existence. It's like, well, often what I do, for example, if I want to solve a problem, is if I have a problem with my own behavior, or maybe I'm having problems in my family, is I'll go sit on a bed or a chair and I'll think, okay, I would like an answer to this. I would like to know what the answer to this, and I'm willing to accept whatever answer is appropriate.
Every morning I do this practice where right when I sit down, before I go into that inner body stuff, I ask myself what's bothering me. and I ask myself what's bothering me, and then I allow whatever is bothering me to surface and come up, and then I look at it, and I ask myself, is there anything? I ask intuition, is there anything I can learn from this? And I look at it, and then usually the good voices in me has like, well, you probably shouldn't have said that, or maybe you're, well, this wasn't, don't do that, like shift that behavior now, or some other thing will come like, oh, I didn't even think about thinking about it that way. Like I'll have some awareness that gives me peace around it in some way, just knowing that I'm willing to learn from the thing that's surfaced, and then I guide my thoughts away.
And because usually you get an answer that you don't like, right? If it's a real answer, it's not something that you're going to be all that happy about. And then, yes,
the answers that do come in, there is one part of us that resists the higher guidance. That's usually true. That ego, there's an egoic part of us.
Magically, so to speak, an answer appears. And I think that's a meditative practice. And the meditative practice is part to clear your mind of your proximal concerns.
Exactly, I agree with that.
And to concentrate more deeply on what might be regarded as eternally true, and to open yourself up.
The eternally true is that awareness that's always there. That awareness, you're aware of yourself as awareness.
For a revelation in relationship to what is eternally true. And I found that incredibly effective.
Yes.
And I think that you can live like that.
Yes. I think you can live like that. That's the challenge, Jordan. Do the morning meditation thing I was talking about. That's the challenge, is to live like that. I don't live like that all the time, but I can feel it more and more. You know, it's like I'm walking around like, whoa, I've never noticed. I've never even looked in this room before. You know, like that kind of stuff. Like, we can live like that, and that's the end of suffering. That's what I believe. That's the most powerful message, that living like that.
You just have to abandon your proximal pursuits. Now, in my new book, again, I wrote a chapter about that called Do What Is Meaningful and Not What Is Expedient.
This is not what I feel it has to do with meditating. This is him talking about how finding meaning in your life is one of the greatest ways to, you know, not feel horrible as a human being. Which I agree with, but this is not what I'm talking about. This type of end of suffering is a whole different level of peace that we all can access.
And it's a bit of a meditation on the Sermon on the Mount, I would say, because the essential message in this...
You can't use the word meditation to mean thinking about something. I don't like... Well, actually, he can. Like, we can. We can use words to say whatever we want, but see, this is where the semantics of language get kooky. When I talk about this type of meditation, the no-thought meditation, I'm talking about coming into a place where you're not thinking. Some people say, let's meditate on that, and what they're really saying is, let's think about that. Or let's take this stream of words in our head, hop in the pilot seat, and go at it. That's not meditating to me.
Sermon on the Mount, which is the foundational document of Western civilization, as far as I'm concerned, essentially, is that you should orient yourself ultimately towards the highest good that you can conceive.
Yes. And we can more and more access that highest good the more that we identify with that highest self inside of us, that awareness. We're not caught up in the day-to-day like, we're not stuck in our mind, wandering around, not clear of what we're doing, itchy, agitated, diseased. We're clear and present, and we're allowing, and we're in the flow of what should I do next. We're asking for intuition, like highest me. What's the next thing I should do? Take a shower, or stop this video. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm getting close. I think I'm getting close. But I want to finish this here, okay?
And I've tried to formulate that, and I mentioned it earlier in this Q&A, that the highest good that you can conceive should be something like what would be good for you now, and good for you tomorrow, and next week, and next month, and next year. So good for you and all the future yous that might exist.
Well,
and also at the same time, good for your family,
right,
and good for the community.
But see, here's the thing. I agree, but you don't have to think about all of that stuff. This is my experience. When you get into that deep awareness, what comes in as the guidance when you're in that place, when it has that love feeling to it, it knows what to do without you thinking, well, is this good for the future? Is this good for the past? Is this good for my family? Is this good for my country? Is this good for my town? Let me think. It's not like that. It's like, that the idea just comes in and is like, oh my God, that's a beautiful feel. Like it has a feeling of intuitive goodness.
Conceptualized narrowly and broadly, and good now for your family and the community, and then also into the future. So it's something like that. It's a balance of goods that stretches across time. You have to decide if that's what you really want. And
well, okay, so he's speaking to, from here on out, he comes back into talking about purpose, as much as I understand, and then so he doesn't talk about identifying with the awareness throughout the day as much as a focus. And that's my whole point of doing this video. I think I've come to the end of what I need to say. If you really listened this far, thanks. I hope it helped. I hope this opened your mind to think about something in to think about meditation in a different way. And I am interested in specificity and clarity, and feel free to leave comments or questions, or what your thoughts on what I'm talking about here, because I have the same I feel I have the same purpose that he does, which I hope we all do, which is we want what's best we want everyone to feel better. Like I am clear that I have some role to play in this human experience as a communicator, a teacher, and a student of this kind of stuff. And my life's brought me to a place where this is what I do. I talk about these things. So because I feel I've had intuitive guidance to do it, and because that aligns with my meaning that I have in my life, which he talks about, which is to be of service to others and helping them find peace in their lives, so that we can, so the life can be easier for us all, and more fun, and more love, and more co-creating and playing. That's what's coming. That's what's happening, this awakening. It's not easy, but it's happening. So, sending you all love. Have a beautiful day.